Welcome to
Jen,
Moving Sucks. It's not the only thing that sucks. There's a lot of things that suck, and Jen is ready to talk about them.
there are some things that we feel that our colleagues could improve upon. And we feel it's important to you because when you're hiring an agent, you should really think about the four things that we are going to talk about.
I have been holding this in for the past 20 hours.
I mean, didn't we just see a portal picture that was sideways and looked like it was coming out of
Oh my God,
out of a
it wasn't
passenger
even
side
straight.
window?
It wasn't even straight.
Yeah.
It was it's so, it's supposed to go this way.
Yeah. It was
What?
90 degrees. It was rotated 90 degrees. The next one.
Thing that grinds my gears, as we were talking about
Whoa,
multifamily property.
I'm going to entree these in, and then I'm going to go run and huddle for cover. So let me give us some background. You take a breath. You have a Sanka over there. Just take a breath. All right, guys, welcome back to Moving Sucks. This is, I am going to literally just introduce this topic and then run for cover because Jen has some shit to say on what we're going to talk about.
Welcome to Moving Sucks. It's not the only thing that sucks. There's a lot of things that suck, and Jen is ready to talk about them.
Jen is definitely ready to talk about it. So, good realtors, they keep their clients out of the inside baseball and opinions of other realtors in the background. We actually are bound by a code of ethics, and I'm going to remind Jen right now at the top of this episode that we are bound by a code of ethics. We are not allowed to disparage agents specifically, but also as an aggregate. I think buried in there in paragraph 13, subsection 4C, that there is a clause that basically prevents us from trashing our own industry. And we're not looking to trash our own industry. I'm
not naming names. I'm going to just speak on things that I'd never.
Just let me finish. Can I just set the table here?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, we are not allowed to largely disparage our own industry. And obviously there's some unprofessional streaks to that, but there are some things that we feel that our colleagues could improve upon. And we feel it's important to you because when you're hiring an agent, you should really think about the four things that we are going to talk about. So I have compiled a list of four things that I think Jen will agree grinds her gears. Quote, grinds her gears. We might even name this episode something about what's grinding Jen's gears right now. So in the end, we have huddles every morning, and we have a text thread for the team, and there is a regular stream of look at this picture. Last night, right before I went to bed, I just left the whole team with a picture of a $675,000 house with the thumb over part of the cover picture of the listing.
And that's what we're gonna get into.
We're gonna get into first. So the first topic, when listing agents put up shitty pictures for their listing,
okay, let me take it from here because I got something to say.
There you go. I'm going to run for cover.
I have been holding this in for the past 20 hours. Ever since I was looking at this property yesterday, and Seth knows as soon as he picks up his phone from a notification and sees from Google Chats, oh my God, he knows something's coming. So listen, you're listing your house. I know that we're in a market where things are selling quick. That does not excuse any agent from taking shortcuts and marketing your property with pictures that have them in the mirror from a half bath or have their literal thumb over the camera when taking a picture outside, and using pictures that were taken on an iPhone 5 and then just throwing them up in the MLS.
I think the one from last night, it was an iPhone 4S. I really do. I think that was that quality.
Oh, and it was the main picture. It's coming through the portal. Was literally this house. What did I say? It was 3,000 square feet. It was a big house. It's 3,500 square feet of house to be able to use as the main picture. I'm sure the outside is beautiful, And the main picture is some like overcasted, no lighting, just aerial picture from like a hallway upstairs looking into the
Yeah,
great room
it was a two-story living room, and they were up on the balcony and they shot down at the fireplace. Yeah.
with dim lighting.
Well,
Like
it wasn't even a real. It wasn't. It was a. It was like a. It was a iPhone camera. Like it was
yeah,
obvious.
as the main picture, mind you.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any better to even have it, but like you want to get top dollar for your property. This is so underwhelming. And it makes me think, and this was a kind of a point that I brought up to myself yesterday of what are these agents getting paid from this? And I hope so it could go one of two ways. Uh, and I hope it's one more than the other. If they're getting paid like, your standard 2.53%, whatever of their side, and that is what they're doing for their client, unexcusable, absolutely ridiculous. Or is this a seller who's saying, oh, well, I want to cut corners and I don't want to pay the agent X amount, so I want a discount. And if that's the result of discount payment for discount services, well, then that's how your property is going to get marketed. And that's kind of on you.
Yes.
So that could be a lesson in pay what somebody's worth. But oh my God, if you're paying somebody an actual, like, fairly standard rate and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, didn't we just see a portal picture with that was sideways and looked like it was coming out of like a
Oh my God,
out of like a
it
passenger
wasn't even
side
straight.
window?
It wasn't even straight. It
Yeah.
was like, it's so, like it's supposed to go this way.
Yeah. It was
What?
90 degrees. It was rotated 90 degrees.
Oh my God. And even down to like, I mean, I could nitpick. Like those are such dramatic examples, but even there was a one I saw yesterday and the place is $1 million. It's gonna segue me into my next grind my gears reason why people should lose their license. But it's listed as a multi-family and it's listed as a residential, which is fine. That's possible. Somebody could buy it as like a investment property for multi-family. And it could also, as just as easily, be purchased as somebody's like primary residence. It's got like 4 buildings on the property. And I'm just thinking, this is $1 million property. They only used 40 pictures, which inside baseball, just to give some people education when you are, and they used a photographer, could have been better. When you use a photographer, you can purchase different packages for like basically amount of pictures to be able to buy. This property for being 2 acres, a collective like almost 6,000 square feet, unique property with multiple buildings, could have easily have been like probably upwards of like 75 to 80 pictures and not have been overwhelming, and honestly probably even more. um, but that costs more. If you're using an agent who is just trying to save money by marketing less on a property that could benefit from marketing more, that's a problem. Now, not to say if you have something that's not as unique, there is such thing as too many pictures and doing
Yeah,
too much.
there is at times a less is more dynamic, which
Yes.
leaves a little bit to the imagination. You don't want to give away everything. That's why I don't think Matterports, which are those like virtual tours you can like click through.
Yeah.
I don't
Which
think
could
that.
have benefited from that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's a virtual tour. So I clicked the little video to watch the virtual tour. I was like, maybe I'll get a better idea of like what, because I looked through the pictures and I went a little like extreme and I was like, it's not even sequential. And Seth was like, the pictures are pretty sequential. And I was like, okay, but I still don't get it. It's like, the way that an agent even uploads pictures into the MLS to be able to like tell a story and be able to like easily flow you through the house and know how things are connected is an art in itself. And in my opinion, it's just
Can I just make
basic.
a point? Is that it's very hard to show flow when it's 4 separate structures.
Yeah. And okay. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out captions. Captions go a really long way. We have
Mhm.
the ability to write in captions and be able to say what room this is in which house and like what it is. And just don't leave people to be confused because a confused mind says no. But I click on this virtual tour because I'm like, all right, I can get a better idea. I want to see kind of the inside of this and kind of how that flows and how these rooms are connected and what is upstairs and downstairs because I couldn't even tell what was upstairs and downstairs. And I clicked the virtual tour and it's literally just a drone video, like a minute and a half drone video of just the outside. And I'm like, the one thing that I can understand from a picture is a drone shot to see the property. I want to see inside. And they didn't opt for that. And I know photographers do that. And that's
Yeah.
what it needed.
Yeah.
$1 million property. I hope that seller is not paying that agent the top dollar because they're doing a terrible job at marketing a top dollar paycheck.
Yeah.
So
can
poor
I can I
marketing, poor
can I
pictures. That's what I have to say.
can I speak?
Go.
Okay. I would take actually your argument one step further. Even if you are discount brokers, let's say you're getting paid 1% on a $600,000 house. Okay.
Okay.
There is almost no excuse unless the house is dilapidated, it is tenant occupied, or some other extenuating circumstances are happening inside that house or outside that a professional photographer shouldn't be. I mean, I've even done professional photography on rentals, and I'm not getting paid anywhere near 1% on those. I mean, this is a big deal, and I've said this multiple times on the podcast. Like, this is a really big deal to people, man, and like we're transferring like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of value in an asset. And then we've got people with iPhone photos. And we can move on after this, but I will tell a story. I have a member in Collegeville at Rivercrest, and we were looking for like up to I think like 950, and he basically said, "Hey, did you see the picture of that folding table in the kitchen of that house?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I saw it," or whatever. And every single time we went back to that house and like referenced it, that's what he said. That was all he said. And so like even prepping the property and taking like professional photos is like, I had a property for another member over there and it was on for 227 days. And it was obvious that the property, the photos were taken with an iPhone. I went over there with my photographer and got new pictures, listed it at the same price, sold it in 14 days. And it was just because it's a real reflection of the house. I mean, it looks like shit. And agents, I was just always taught, and I always agreed that professional photos, if you've got someone, unless it's extenuating circumstances, and you were listing your house and you do not have to be in the Philadelphia area, anywhere in the country, if you have a house that's half decent, you should be getting professional photos and being told how to stage your house.
Yes. And like, when I go for listing photos, I don't just like shoo the photographer in and just say, okay, go do your thing. Now some prefer to just do their thing. I show up to listing photos in sneakers and in movie pants. So in like leggings and a t-shirt because I'm going to be sweating my butt off. And like, I want everything to be prepped before the photographer gets there, obviously, but like I'm ready to go. If a photographer says, hey, move that's not showing well. I also don't just wait for the pictures to come back. I do ask, like, can I see them? I want to see how that reflected. And like, or if they like miss something that I think is like a good shot to get. Sometimes I'm wrong and I don't even end up using it, but I like to have it just in case. And like, I'll tell them, like, put me to work. I'm no long for this next hour. I'm not the boss. You are. You boss me around. You tell me if you don't want that there and that doesn't look as good there and doesn't photograph as well, I'll move it, no problem. And that's when I'm like moving furniture around and I'll pick up boxes and yeah. So you just ready to like put in the work. So yes.
It is by far the most important piece of marketing. And for $150 to $200, your agent should be buying those pictures. And that's it. I don't want to hear, oh, well, I have this new phone. I have an iPhone 15. Like, I do not give a shit. That flash.
The fact, like, don't you understand that on Zillow, for instance, if you're taking portrait pictures, so long ways pictures, like an iPhone picture, that does not translate into the Zillow kind of like quick view. It's only going to show landscape. And this is
just
Realtor 101 of knowing how things are
Photos need to be retouched, not misleading, but they should be retouched because the photos function. The entire purpose of it is to get someone to come see the property. People don't buy houses over the internet.
and to be proud of it.
Yeah.
Like, even as like, if you're okay, so we've been talking for the past like 10 minutes about the seller side of this and how this is going to benefit you as a seller or hinder you as a seller. Think about this from the buyer side. Like, you just bought a house, and what you have to show people that you bought, are you going to be proud to show like, oh, this is what I got, and it looks like absolute
Oh
garbage?
yeah, I
Like,
never thought of that. That's an interesting point, but yeah, I mean,
and then the other
yeah,
side, as far as like the agents, this is like the lesser important, but still, I would care about this. Your reputation.
yeah, no, it
I'm
definitely is a
gonna put my
reflection
name
on
on
your.
that.
This is generally done by like older agents, by the way, or really like cheap agents on like bad property. But then, yeah, we've had like 4 or 5 in the last 24, 48 hours where I'm like, how in the world is I just imagine that agent, okay, Bob and Sally, we're up on the market. Take a look. And they look at it and they're like, yep, looks good. I'm like, there's a thumb over the picture, one sideways. Like, I just don't get it. So anyway, we got to move on though, because we're going
All
to
right,
run out of time.
sorry. Next.
The next
Next thing
one.
that grinds my gears, as we were talking about
Oh, whoa,
multifamily
whoa, whoa,
property.
whoa. I'm going to entree these in. So
Fine.
just, and then I'm going to go run and huddle for cover. Okay.
Bunker.
A cousin of this one that we just talked about is the coming soon with no picture.
Oh my God.
So let me give some background. You take a breath. You have a Sanka over there. Just take a breath. So basically, what used to be able to happen is you could go coming soon, which means no one could see it. You couldn't do showings, but you could put a sign out and go coming soon. And during COVID, they found that it became a violation of fair housing because what was happening is people were putting up signs for months and then finding buyers from the sign and then selling it. It was never available to the public. Big no, equal housing opportunity type stuff. So during COVID, they basically said, hey, 21 days is the maximum amount you can go coming soon. And so what we are finding is that a lot of agents, before pictures are taken, or they're snapping a photo with their iPhone of just the front, just one picture, and then they are using those 21 days with coming soon, and it sits in the portal at the top because days haven't started counting, so it's up at the top of the list, and it just sits. And I have always felt, and I know Jen feels the same way, is that it is a terrible way to create any kind of. I think agents believe that it creates a FOMO, where it's like, oh my God, what is this? Like, no, I can't see it, but it must be amazing, must be amazing. And it's like, listen, that property better be amazing, because if it's not, and most aren't, it's going to be a letdown. So I will let you vent a little bit, but I wanted to at least say that because I do feel strongly about this one.
Oh my God, same. And also, I never, if somebody's putting up the property as coming soon, I don't assume it's great. Like, I assume, oh great, this probably sucks. And
Well, we've been let down so many times.
well, here's the thing, and just what doesn't make sense is like, so I had a seller who said, well, can we just put it, they were home sale contingent, and there was when that happens, we do have to have their house in the MLS within a certain amount of time, be able to uphold, their end of their other contract. So we did have a certain amount of time we had to put their house on the market. And she's like, well, can't we just put it up without the pictures? Because we were lining up and scheduling pictures. And I was like, I will not ever put up a listing,
Without pictures.
coming soon or not, without it being fully marketed and ready. Because there is a benefit to coming soon. And it is to gauge interest and get excitement, and get people like prepared and ready and scheduled. There's also an amount of time. So break this up into 2 points. The whole 21 days, people doing the entire 21 days. Oh my God, you think that I know what I'm doing next week, let alone in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Like, people, like, they want to see it. Let me freaking see it. The excitement dies like 3 weeks from now. That's absurd. Like, wait to put it in then. Oh my God. Then with the whole no pictures thing, what, it is a waste of an email. I don't want to see it. You don't have your pictures up. I don't know if I even like what is the point? and there it's only leads to disappointment. Nope, it's not like, you put it up and somebody's gonna be like, oh, but then they get to see it twice come through their portals. No, because I'm gonna have no idea that it even came through one time because I didn't even have a picture for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I've had a lot of experience with this where it actually it messes with the buyer psychology where they do get a little bit of FOMO because they don't know anything any better. They don't have they're not seeing these all day, every day, and they're not seeing that they're usually a letdown. But I gotta, bring the buyer back to earth when we go in and see it or the pictures are up. And I think it sets it up. I think it sets a listing up for failure unless you have professional photos up and it's fully marketed. You coming soon for sure. But even then, I know I never go more than coming soon for like a week
you got
because
one
I don't
shot.
think it's effective after that anyway.
You got one shot at a first impression.
That's right. That's exactly right. So but I have had a lot of buyers who have been like, man, it's like, this place is kind of underwhelming. The other thing is too, is that sometimes it can throw chaos into into their decision-making process. Cause they're like, yeah, I want to put an offer on this, but there's that one that doesn't have a picture yet, but it looks really cool. I did a drive-by. And I don't think it's a good way to sell property at all. So coming soon can be very effective if it's marketed property. What's that?
It shows disorganization to me too. And it just shows it's
putting the cart before the horse. It's like, just like what you said, that's exactly the best way to wrap it up is that you only get one chance to make a first impression. And there's so many coming soons that are just have no picture, no context, clients are driving by, but it's just not a great way to market the property. So the next problem that Jen has, and I have one of these as well, is the Sunday at 5 p.m. deadline for offers. I think it's a disservice to the clients. I think it's a disservice to the agents. And there is literally no world that a buyer and a seller can't finish a transaction on Monday morning. Now, I understand the opposite argument. People go to work. They don't want to deal with it. But what you do, and what I explain to my people, and I really, really, really try to get them to go to a Monday settlement. So basically what happens, guys, in a competitive market like Philadelphia, we have generally things start listing Wednesday, Thursday. You have 4 days to show it. If it's priced right, doesn't smell like a foot, and in a good location, it's going to sell. Just a matter of how much it's going to sell for, how many offers the agent can get.
Yes,
a lot of times what will happen.
This is based off. Hold on, I'm just clarifying. This doesn't mean a house has been on the market for a weekend already and more than a week. This went up midweek. We are now at Sunday.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be honest with you, Jen. I think the way I explained it before worked. I think everyone's got it. I don't think anyone was thinking 10 days. 2 weeks.
Listen, people from other markets could be listening to this. There are areas that are softening.
All right.
I'll shut up. I'm going to drink my coffee.
Yeah, drink your coffee. So basically what happens is that there's a whole slew of showings Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then once an offer comes in, they basically, or if they think there's going to be offers coming in, there's an offer deadline announced. And I get it. The seller wants to have some kind of structure to it. They're obviously excited, but they want to have a time when they know that no more offers are going to be coming in and they can review everything and make a final decision. Totally fair. That's fine. But the timing of that, I think, does a disservice to our industry, other agents, and also to the buyers and sellers. First of all, if you have an offer deadline for 5 o'clock on a Sunday night, that means anyone basically after 12 o'clock on a Sunday, they're really going to be rushing around trying to put that offer together. Now, yes, you could pre-prepare the offer. Yes, you could, but that's a lot of work and a lot of shit that a buyer who hasn't even seen the property has to do. I believe that if a seller wants to put their best foot forward and they want to allow the most amount of offers to come in, that you set it for 9 a.m. on Monday morning, and then or 12 o'clock on Monday, 12 noon on Monday. You let everyone get their coffee, get an offer together, maybe ask some questions, optimize their offer. And then what we do is, hey guys, when you're home from work, 6, 7 o'clock, or after you get the kids in bed, we're going to go over all these offers. And then what you do is you just say that's due on Monday at 12, response time on Tuesday. We're going to wrap this thing up on Tuesday. gives everyone some time. You've laid expectations with the buyers, you've laid it, and the seller has a chance to breathe. There's nothing stopping a buyer or a seller after a certain amount of day, like after a lot of days, to just closing off showings. This isn't a matter of like having to keep the property open to market and then you got to shut it down or anything like that. You can shut it down whenever you want, as long as you've given the property enough like reasonable time for it to be seen. But it doesn't do anyone any favors. And I'll tell you, like for realtors, man, it's really tough, man. You got to then pull in the lender for the pre-approval. You got to get all organized and get all these docs over. And I don't think I'm, you can comment now, Jen, but like, I actually think it hurts sellers in the aggregate because I don't think it gives buyers a good enough opportunity to bid on the property.
Yes. So my take on that is everything same as what you just said. And also to your point, as far as sellers go, like, they don't want to keep having people in the house. They want their Sunday night back, and they don't, like, if they're working from home Monday, say, and like they don't want people to come through, that's fine. Then the agent says showings will be stopping at like 6-7 o'clock on Sunday. Often, the agent does need give us time to write it up, give the buyers time to feel
Call their
comfortable,
parents, like ask a
confident. Like,
contractor.
you're not going to get your strongest offer by a scared buyer or a nervous buyer. Like, even just this pure psychology of it, I've had buyers who I knew what offer they were going to put in and I knew what we were going to end up doing, but like they just needed to psychologically be able to sit with it for a little bit, not a long time, but just be able to like feel secure and confident and give themselves that opportunity. Like, I already know it's fine because I'm obviously advising for it, but be able to sit with themselves to be like, okay, all right, I feel good about this, and not rush them. Also, I'm like probably still out doing showings at 5 o'clock on a Sunday. Give me time to go home and write this thing.
That's right.
And like I could be sending you your best offer, but because you're rushing me and because this buyer feels too rushed and everybody feels rushed, you're missing out on a really great offer.
Yep.
You're missing out on the time that I have to be able to have the buyer feel confident in what they're doing and are just going to say, all right, fine, then like never mind.
Yep.
Give me till noon on 11 or noon on Monday.
Yeah, I think there's like an over assumption. I think there's too much of an assumption that like the realtor's only working with that client. But like, I know I've been out, like, I mean, you can ask my wife, sun up to sundown on Saturdays and Sundays,
Yeah.
especially in a really busy market. I don't know, or something pops up. And yeah, I mean, being able to write it up and everything like that logistically, but also I don't think it's a good look for our industry as a whole. I think it rushes buyers. I mean, sellers, sure, they get more control, but I don't think it's good for like our industry and like our profession to be like, okay, it's like having things that are out of control doesn't make realtors and this industry look good. And that's what I've always hated about certain aspects of this business, where it's like very much of like a selling sunset like reenactment than like actually let's do this the right way and a controlled way. I love agents who do like a pop-up open house on Sunday if they got like too many showings. They're like, we just got to get as many people through here as possible. Open houses on Sundays are great also because it allows the buyers who've seen it on Thursday, Friday to get a second look, bring parents back, come back with the spouse. Sometimes they come back with a handyman to look at things, and in that philosophy of like allowing as much access and allowing buyers to gain as much control and knowledge about a property, it is the same thing with the offer deadline. It doesn't help anybody, and I don't give a shit unless the sellers are like flying to like Thailand on Monday. There's no reason that they can't take an extra day, shut it down, review offers. It also gives the listing agent an opportunity to answer any outstanding questions. And meanwhile, we're all on Sunday night, like on our phones, huddled in our office. And I don't think the quality of life is very good. I know most people don't care about agents and their quality of life, but you should, because if we have a good quality of life, we're better at our job.
Yes, exactly. Now, speaking though of, we didn't talk about this one before we got on here, but now I am curious at your opinion of, so it has been a busy market. There's limited time to go and see things because of how quickly things sell. What is your take on overlapping showings? And just to define that to people, so you can, when you're listing a property, you can set the showings to either like one person can show at a time or allow overlapping showings. You can pretty much either have it set to you could have three people showing the property at the same time for a scheduled appointment or have unlimited and just allow anybody to schedule at any time and that amount of people will be showing the property at that time. What's your take on overlapping showings?
Okay, so I there's so the difference between what they're called exclusive showings and overlapping. Um, it really depends. I usually don't allow overlapping showings because what I feel very strongly that I think the best thing for the seller is for that buyer's agent to come in and get an opportunity to really have like be able to have the place to themselves and be able to answer questions for the buyer and like create an environment where I let the buyer's agent, I don't want to say sell, but like create an environment where like a buyer can like kind of nest in the house and like have like exclusive access to the house. There
Mm-hmm.
are some, certainly I don't do overlapping showings at all. If the parking situation, it's on a major road, never.
That's logistical. I
I
mean more
don't do
in
open houses on. I don't
experience.
do it. I don't do open houses on those homes either
Oh
because
yeah.
all they're going to do is pull up and be like, "Yeah, okay, how's the barbecue this summer going to go with it?"
Yeah. Let's highlight how you can't host people.
Oh, people. But no, I very rarely do it. I will flip it to overlapping showings, and not as much anymore. But during COVID, yeah, like I would get the Thursday through Sunday would totally fill up, and then we would do. I'd have 10 agents like, "Can you squeeze me in? Can you squeeze
Mm.
me in?" I would talk to the seller and say, "You know what? We're just going to let this. We're just going to let this house open. It's going to be an open house all day Sunday. We got to get as many people through here as possible." And that's how you're getting 17, 9, 18, 19 offers on a house. I remember there was one in Royersford I did where, I mean, I literally listed the house and I think my phone dinged like 2 minutes later, and it did
Mm.
not stop for like 4 hours. I was just getting like, showing. Finally, I called John and Bridget, and I'm like, "Listen, we're just going to open this thing out. Just leave." I said, go to your buddy's house," because we had talked about a contingency plan of like, if we get too many showings, you have someplace to go, and that was an understatement because it was completely booked all the way till Sunday night at 8.
No,
So in that case, I would.
how long ago was that?
That was like thick of COVID. That was 2022.
Right. I don't think right now. Now, unless something is like the house that I had just gone to see that was next level incredible. Talk about beautifully marketed. Like I have nothing bad to say about that house. Now that did have overlapping showings. I am of the team of I hate overlapping showings, like passionately hate,
Hmm.
because for the exact reason that you just said is like it I feel so reserved, and I, as the agent, feel reserved of what I can and can't say because I know that the other people that are walking around here are my competition to my buyers. And I don't want them hearing
Yeah.
my buyers say anything about it or about what we would want to offer or about what they love or what they might do. Like, it's it just feel they just can't they don't feel as free to be able to kind of like walk around. They don't feel as free to
Yeah.
speak. It just gets like you're running into each other, oh my god, trying to like get up and down steps and like get into rooms and out of rooms. It's like
People are usually pretty good though. Like, so when I go in, like, so if I'm there and an agent walks in, I'm like, "Listen, I'm gonna take the basement. You can go upstairs and we'll just swap."
yeah, and that's fine, but
Everybody
it's
kind of
also
understands that. I will say this much though. I have had showings when you've got little kids, uh, where you gotta like move like showing windows to like 1 to 5, because you got families in there and they can't displace for a weekend. Like people have to stay in the house. You'll like I'll like truncate blocks to show, and then we'll just do overlapping because that's just what you have to do.
that is fine.
But
But if I'm giving
if you have
you
four
all
days,
day,
what?
like if that's fine, but if I'm giving you all day
Yeah.
to be able to figure it out, find a time that
Well, yeah. So I generally try not to do it at all, and I
yes.
don't. I really try not to, but it definitely it doesn't bother me because usually there's a good reason. And of course we love the going shows. We don't have to wait for
I love a going show.
yeah.
Love
So
it.
okay, this is the last one because we're running out of time. This is one that's special to you because you have become
Recently.
kind of like the team's investment specialist. So I remember you came to me about 2 years ago, and you were like, I got a couple clients now who want to buy multifamily,
Mhm.
and like, what do you think? And I said, listen, definitely go get the reps in, and they've turned out to be great clients and super fans of the podcast.
And I knew
But
it.
we have had quite a run in with some agents who have not necessarily been the best equipped to sell those types of properties. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience and why this is not good for the consumer?
Yeah. And I can speak passionately on this without yelling this time. It's more just, somebody, a seller comes up or an owner comes up to an agent, and it might be the agent that they use to buy their primary house. And they say, I want to sell my multi-unit, like my quad. And it's tenant occupied and their lease is in place. It's not as simple. Selling a multi-unit property is not as simple as throwing the sign in the yard. So you have tenants, you have utilities. Like, the person who is buying a multi-unit property is not buying emotionally. You need to make sure that the person who is listing this property and marketing this knows what is needed going into showings and having people out. So investors care about the cash flow. They want to know, do you have the leases on hand? You need to know when those people are in, what types of leases they are. Are they month to month? Are they annual? When are they up? You need to be able to speak to the utilities. Who pays for what? Do you have copies of the utility bills? That one might be like a little bit extreme, but not really, because they do need to have your expenses. Like, have all of this information up front so that the investor who is trying to purchase this can make an informed decision. If they can't determine that it's going to cash flow and they don't have complete information, they're going to pass. And you know what? Investors have money and they're not afraid to put out for a good investment. But if you can't speak to the fact that it is, see ya. And it's very frustrating on the agent's behalf, because I've got my investor who's asking for all this information and you have absolutely none of it.
Yeah.
And you're listing your even just the basic information. The amount of times that I have come to love agents who are so readily prepared, but I was out for an entire year, 11 months 11 months with this client, and with no breaks, like pretty much every week, very frequently. The amount of multi-unit property or multi-family properties that I have seen has made me pretty well versed in this area. And I would say I could probably count 5 times where there was an agent who was actually prepared with the information needed up front, where I did not have to ask for it and pry for it and have to explain to the agent what is needed and why.
Mm-hmm.
And even as simple as listing it into the MLS. Oh my God, why are you putting this up but not writing out how many units are in there? So again, back end, you put it up when you're putting up a multifamily. It's how many units are in the property. Let's say there's 4. You can section them off of unit 1 is this big. If you don't know the square footage, I'll live, but I need to at least know, what is the current rent? Is it vacant? Is it not? And what type of lease does it have? Bare minimum. Bare minimum. Then the next one. Actually, square footage is not a big ask. You should probably have that too. Unit 2, same thing, 3, 4, and be able to at least know the very, very bare minimum basics. Oh my God. Having somebody who doesn't just know that
Yeah.
has been infuriating, and makes me
So,
so excited to list my own multifamily, because I will know what to come prepared for. Oh, and that's only just the paperwork side and just having the information. Then there's how to show a multi-unit property when you have tenants in it, and how to handle those tenants.
mhm.
And listen, we didn't even get into this, and I don't think we will. But another grind my gears is, like, should listing agents be at the property to show, or should you just let the buyer's agent just kind of do their thing? I have an opinion on that. We could probably do a whole episode on it. But if there is ever a time that I would say a listing agent could and should be present for all showings, would be for a multi-unit property that is tenant occupied and is a little more unique, because a listing agent who knows the property, knows the owner, knows these tenants, has trust with these tenants, if they're going to be there for showings, will be able to speak to it better, will be able to gain the trust of the tenants to be a little bit more welcoming. I've been shut out of, I think I drove an hour to go show
That
quad,
Orchard property.
and the tenants didn't even know I was coming, even
Yeah.
though I confirmed the appointment. And it's like,
Okay, so I'm going to break this down. What you just said is absolutely true. I agree.
yeah,
Uh, what this is it just comes down to marketing. And agents not understanding the differences in the property. So every property has a kind of like a logistical, financial side, and then like kind of the feel, the intangibles, like school, the neighborhood, the yard, like whatever, how it feels. That's much more prominent when you're buying like a primary residence. Obviously you have finances to worry about because you have to worry about your monthly payment and taxes and all that stuff. But the main thing that people are looking for is the right fit, is the right location, does it have enough beds, baths, that type of thing. In investing, it's flipped. They don't give a shit about the I mean, they care about the neighborhood as long as it's not dangerous and like it's in a good school district, but that's not the main appeal because they don't actually have to live in it unless they're house hacking, which is, by the way, is great with an FHA program. But anyway, I digress. It flips where the emphasis, like the eye of Sauron, goes on to the numbers of the investment property. You have to know like every detail because it's a financial decision. It's an investment. It's not, well, all housing is an investment. Investment properties are absolutely more numbers based.
mm-hmm.
So when you're marketing the property, that is the marketing of the property. Like that's the information you need in order to gather as many offers as possible.
Yeah, and like I said, to the point of the showings, it's you're working with tenants who are physically living there, and there are times where they say like, okay, well, if you're coming for the showing, you can see like units like 1 and 2, but 3 you can only see if you're seriously considered and you have to come back for. If that's the way you have to do it, then please market unit 3 in the listing, or at least have like tell the tenant to just like go run to the store for 20 minutes. And this is a time, I don't care if you have an iPhone, like video or pictures, whatever, but get a quick tour of the place. So if you're not going to let me go in to see it on my first time around, when I'm driving like 45 minutes to even get there, and now I have to go back and do it again just to see one more unit, then at least make it easy for the buyers and the buyers agents to see what that unit even is.
Yeah, well, I would say that this is one of the biggest challenges in selling these multifamilies as tenants because every buyer they let into that unit is one more chance that they're going to have to move. So a lot of times what you will do is see a lot. So investors and landlords who own these properties, they have to make a choice. In order to really properly market these properties, it should be vacant. But when it's vacant, it's not
You're
cash
losing
flow.
money. Yeah.
But also the other side of it is like some people want to sell it with tenants because someone like you have one under contract now. It's like you can just transfer the lease
Yeah.
and it's done. And so it's a real hard situation. I would argue that a very, very robust open house, and maybe you pay your tenant to like go to Urban Air or something, or go somewhere, or like go buy, give them a gift card to Target and Panera Bread and be like, get out of here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we're going to just load everyone into this. That I think that's a better way to do it than, agents trying to like key in. And also it's sometimes extremely unsettling for buyers agents and investors to like key into homes or like these units, and like you're disturbing these people. You don't know who they are. It's just like, it's not a great look. So it's not easy, but I agree. There are much better ways, at least, to focus on what you can control and just have all the information. The actual logistics of marketing the property, getting like boots on the ground inside, I think can be challenging depending on who your clientele is. All my leases have written in that, or at least most of them. I don't think we did the one in Montclair like this, but it's that landlord has a right 60 days notice to market the property, and tenant will provide access to unit on, within reasonable blah, blah, blah. So
yeah. So it
anyway,
boils down to make sure that the person that you're having to list a multi-unit property has experience in it, and it is not, make sure they stay in their lane.
I would also just say, like, to just wrap this whole thing up, because this is one of our longer episodes, is that, like, make sure, like, go ask the listing agent you want to hire, ask him for a sample of what they've listed recently. And if you see iPhone photos, that's probably what they're going to do there. And also, I think it really reflects, like, the quality and, like, the attention to detail and, like, kind of the pride in their work. I don't want to, like, overstate it, but I don't think I am. But you should ask about deadlines and, like, what is your process for offers? What is your process for, like, do you think coming soon is a good idea? Do you, like, how would you market my multifamily property? Like, what's the information that you need? How many investment properties have you listed before? Ask questions of the agent that you are, because, like, listen, if there's like an eightplex in, like, a downtown borough, like, I'm probably not your guy. But I have people that do it and, like, do it really, really well and very professionally. Or Jen can do it. But in the end, it's like, we very much stay in our lane. I always joke, like, I could write you up a lease for, like, a warehouse, like, warehouse property and on the Delaware River. Like, I could do it, like, legally, but you don't want me doing that.
Well, talking about the code of ethics, it does say that our advice is stay within our specialty.
That's right. But residential multifamily or whatever, technically, yes, we're not supposed to go into commercial or industrial. And the same thing, like, Jim Wrigley, our absolutely beloved commercial realtor partner, he doesn't want anything to do with residential. He's handed off a lot of deals to me because he does no idea what the hell to do. And that's, again, what we always talk about on this podcast, is serving the consumer and doing this well. And
Yes.
that is very, very important. So if you're out there, even if you're not in the Philadelphia area, if you are out there and you're trying to vet an agent and you just want a hand, or you really want, we can actually vet agents for you across the country, because we have this massive network. And I know I probably
let us vet them for you. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah,
We
we'll
know
vet
what
them
to ask.
for
We
you.
know who to go to. We know people. Like,
Yeah.
I feel so much better knowing that we are helping you get somebody based off of a high standards.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, listen, I think that was actually surprisingly tame for you, Jen.
Thank you.
Yeah, because there are some agents in our network who are merciless, and they get brought up on code of ethics
I am
violations.
so not getting reported for this episode.
No, I don't think so. I think you did a great job on this one. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll
Passionately,
see.
that's all.
What?
I just speak passionately. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you give a shit, and that shows when you have your professional photographer come in and take photos.
Yes.
That's right. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye.